is Bro, You're Not Funny Anymore, the only podcast that we're aware of that is specifically built for guys teetering past the prime of their early to mid-20s. What does fitness look like for us now with new mounting work and family commitments, not to mention an aging body? Well, that's what we're here to talk through. This episode is sponsored by Divine Digital Agency, your mobile app building destination. If you've got an app idea, they do incredible work, and we actually record our show weekly at the location in Naples, Florida. I'm Joe Pellegrino, a 30-year-old husband, father, and business consultant, also, and most relevantly, a 13-year veteran gym rat.
I am Brett Reynolds, personal trainer, about 8 years in the industry, and I help business professionals look their best, perform their best inside and outside of the gym. What's up, Joe?
Gets better and better every time, man.
Let's go, boy. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. How about you?
I'm good, man. We're firing the espressos. We got a little warm up before the podcast. Little active workout, which we'll get into depth in a little bit. So I feel good, man. Blood's flowing. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing awesome. Super Bowl was great yesterday.
Super Bowl was great.
Did not disappoint. But how did you do with your 75-day fasting or 75-day challenge?
So yeah, 75-day challenge. So I was tested yesterday. So I went over to Anthony's boss's house, Derek, or over at Total Athletic Performance, and watched the game over there. And they had their NFL Combine guys joining us. They were over there. We were all watching it. And most are, bigger linemen, so they're about, on average 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds.
So they're putting away food, like.
Dude, so they ordered 150 wings from Buffalo Chips. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I know Buffalo Chips. It's right by my house.
So, and I'm going into it, I'm like, it's a Super Bowl party. I'm expecting, there to be bad food and whatnot. And, I ate a little bit beforehand to kind of strategize, like, okay, I'm going to stay on my diet. I'm 31 days in at this point. I'm going to stick to it, And then I just see these guys just devouring these wings, man. and they're going to town. I'm talking like, it looked like they were eating bone and all, man. They're just devouring these. And so, I'm sitting there, and dude, the temptation is real. I'm sitting there like a pretty disciplined dude. And just watching them devour these wings, I'm like, and I'm trying to justify, are wings that bad? It's not like I'm eating pizza or sweets, right? I'm like, at the end of the day, it's just chicken and it's just protein, right? So I'm literally talking myself, trying to determine whether I'm gonna eat these wings or not. And dude, so watch the whole Super Bowl. I'm just picking on the veggie tray, bro.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
And so every time, I'll see a wing to eat and I'll grab a carrot. So they devour wings, I'll devour carrots, man. And dude, so I make it through the Super Bowl and I don't eat it. Okay.
Dude, good for you, man.
And at this point I'm starving because the Super Bowl was around 3 hours when it was all said and done. So I get home 10:30 at night, I'm still starving, I have no food. Literally go grocery shopping at Super Walmart, 10:30 at night, man. Grab my, grass-fed beef and veggies, cook it up. It's midnight. So I was tested last night.
Dude, sounds like you passed the test big time.
I passed it, man.
Because I'll tell you what's not easy to do. Well, first of all, the Super Bowl party, but then to go food shopping when you're hungry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I can't say I've passed that test too many times. So that's awesome, man. Good for you.
So I mean, yeah, it was definitely the biggest challenge thus far was watching some future NFL linemen devour 150 wings, and I'm eating carrots.
Yeah, man. Good for you, dude.
But what's new with you, man?
Oh, dude. Yeah, a whole lot of stuff, man. It's been a great year. 2020 is just off to a fantastic start, and man, just doing this show and bringing on some of the people that we brought in. It's just, I don't know about you, but it's just been so enriching for me, and hearing from Cosmo, hearing from Anthony, just some of the conversations we've had between each other, and it's just that's the whole point. That's the whole point of this whole show. It's an exploration, and one of the things that before we even got started on the show, I really wanted to bring on somebody to talk about this program that isn't super well known, but is freaking awesome, called Foundation Training. And that was sort of my desire right from the beginning. I want to get someone on from this. So just a little bit, I've alluded to my story, probably on every episode more or less, but I real quick want to give I want to get a little vulnerable with you and kind of give the kind of whole thing, how it all happened, and it's going to give really good context for what we're going to talk about today. So when I was 16, I was diagnosed with a herniated disc. Who doesn't have a herniated disc? But at 16, the area that it was in just caused me tremendous pain. And I was never really too much of an athlete, so I never, it wasn't particularly aggravated by anything that I could think of that I was doing. And at the time, the doctors had said, man, this is probably going to be a surgery disc. This is, one of those things. And I grew up in the world of chiropractic where, back surgery is just a no-no. And I've had uncles have really bad back problems, have surgeries that only made things worse. So that was never an option for me. Well, fast forward almost 10 years, and I'm working in the restaurant industry, and it's a really busy time. I'm getting a quick workout in, and I'm finishing up a set of super light shoulder flies, and all of a sudden I engage my core and I feel this pop in my back, like a funny bone kind of feeling, but in your back, which is, those two feelings, it shouldn't be together.
That's scary.
Very scary.
That's scary.
I immediately put down the weights and walked out of the gym. By the time I got to my truck in the parking lot, I was just on fire. From like my whole back and into my legs, I was just in a tremendous amount of pain. So I'm kind of freaking out because it was a Friday. So if anyone works in the restaurant industry, that the weekend is the time
Prime time.
You got to be on. I was a general manager, and so I was really nervous about what to do about that. So the next morning I wake up and I'm expecting to be in just excruciating pain, and it was the weirdest thing. Man, it was the opposite, which was scarier.
You didn't feel anything?
I didn't feel anything from my belly button down. I could move, but I had no sensation. It felt like my whole lower half of my body was like on Novocaine. Weirdest thing, man. So even then, though, I'm just kind of like, maybe it's like a pinched nerve or something like that. Yeah, it was a pinched nerve. Yeah. So it was a pinched spinal column. So basically, what ended up happening was I had what's called cauda equina syndrome. And basically, the cauda equina is basically within your spine, you've got the spinal cord, which has spinal fluid, and it comes to a point at your T12L1, right in the middle of your back, where it turns into what's called the cauda equina. That means horsetail in Latin. And all the different nerves that are going down to the lower half of your body, because it looks like a horsetail, are all coming through here. So I basically cut off the circulation of the spinal fluid at that point, which is a really not good thing. So I had emergency surgery. They just they clipped the disc. It was a very mild surgery, but a very important one to have to remove the obstruction. Most people that have cauda equina syndrome are elderly, and most times they don't particularly walk afterwards. So it was a really, it was a blessing the way things worked out. 2 years later, it happened again. I'm saying to myself, 'cause I never was, I lift heavy, but I lift heavy very smart, and not in ways that aggravate my back. I was never a squat guy, I was never a deadlift guy. I was always the guy that stayed away from stuff like that because of my disc. And I know there's a lot of guys out there that are like that. They're very apprehensive to squat heavy because they might have a back problem. Mm-hmm. Well, even in light of that, this happened again. And I had another emergency surgery, and this time the doctor was insistent that they would fuse my spine because if they did not do that, they said it was going to keep happening. Very unhappy about that, but that's the case. So they pulled the disc out, fused my spine, and now my T12L1 vertebrae are, well, they're the same. So not super happy about that. But basically that was really, after that happened, especially because I couldn't figure out why, that's really what sort of launched this exploration that I've been on, where there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to stay fit, and there's got to be a reason why all this is happening. There's something structurally. We all have cell phone neck, and we all have posture problems.
We all sit a lot.
We all sit a lot, and it's whether you have my situation is quite unique. But chronic pain isn't unique at all. A lot of people struggle with that. And my most recent chiropractor down here in Naples, who we'll have on the show in a couple weeks, he recommended foundation training, which was a really cool program. And I'll let our guests sort of introduce it. But basically, what I really loved about foundation training is that it's a basic solution to chronic pain. It helps to undo the damage of what some of our modern habits sort of cause. and it does that by seeking to change the way we move, correcting imbalances, etc. So, it's a really, really cool thing. So in that interest, we have brought on with us today Harry Grimm, who is a certified foundation training trainer. And we're really excited to talk to him. So welcome to the show, Harry.
Well, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here.
It's a beautiful day out here too, isn't it?
It is a beautiful day out here. It really, really is. Harry took us through some foundation movements before we recorded. That's why, Brett was saying that we kind of got to work out. And I'm sweating. I'm like schwitzing like a storm over here.
No, I'm sweating too, and I was cramping up, and we were having some good laughs just because, the evidence shows what we're just doing, we probably need to do a lot more frequently because, we got two, strong guys, strong as oxes, but, we're doing some simple, breathing, balance, and expanding all these muscles that are probably condensed from sitting and, losing posture. And then Harry comes and tries to, loosen us up and expand us, and it's harder than, we're doing in the gym, training super hard.
Shaking like a feather.
Yeah. Shaking's good.
Yeah.
Shaking's good. That's Dr. Goodman, who designed the program, says that's where all the magic happens.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us the basic theory behind foundation training and really what it is on a basic level?
On a very basic level, well, let me start with how it got developed. Eric Goodman, while he was in chiropractor school, had serious back pain. He was recommended back fusion. And being in chiropractic school, he felt it was not probably a good idea to do that. So he went on a quest. He got passionate and obsessed with finding a solution for himself, and this is what he came up with. And it got himself out of pain. He avoided surgery. All right, and then he started just showing it to people, and it grew from there. He worked with Lance Armstrong. He worked, I don't know if it'd be Peter Parks out of California, who's a big trainer for triathlon athletes and things like that. He started working with him, and they put out he wrote a book. He put out a series of videos, and when I saw it, I was just absolutely blown away by it. It was on I watched a video by Dr. McCullough, Joe McCullough. I don't know if you know him, but he's big on the internet. And he was interviewing Eric Goodman, and the thing that got me was there was a young doctor talking about how he gets people out of pain, and the postures he was using mimicked what I did in martial arts for stances almost to a T, with some minor differences. So I started doing it, and basically it's a very simple process. It's sophisticated, not complicated. It does take a kind of a learning curve, but sophistication is just a bunch of simple things put together. Complication is something entirely different. You need a degree for that one. So I started using it with some of my students that I was teaching at the time. They got better. I got better. I had mid-back pain, knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain. I've been around a while. You guys talk about
anymore, bro.
I don't even pretend anymore. You guys talk about we're getting older, and I'm like, what? Wait another 35 years, and then we'll talk. But I tell you right now, I probably feel better or as good as you guys do. No pain to speak of. I do this, and it's not like a long, involved process. Once you get a baseline, you do this 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll have profound changes in your life. The basic concept is just elongating, taking the weight of the body off the joints of the body, putting them back in the muscles where they belong. And by doing that, as we build the body from the inside out, you're going to have better breathing, you're going to have better visceral organs will work better, and all these different things. And it's a very simple process, but you got to do it. That's the big key. People have to be willing to do a few minutes a day after they learn it, and I've seen an awful lot of people get out of pain, get off of opiates, cancel surgeries, and these just get off of canes and walkers, and these are just the people I've worked with. And Dr. Goodman's got 2 books out now, and they've got references in there about a lot of people they've worked with.
That is awesome, man.
No, what I was just gonna say, so you kind of found this while you were deep in martial arts?
Yeah.
Okay, and now the process of do you still do martial arts, like training wise?
At least up here. At least into my brain I do. I don't do it like I used to, because when I moved to Naples, I was going to retire and teach Tai Chi on the beach.
Okay.
And that was the golden dream,
right,
And I found foundation training, and I said, first of all, it's so much easier to teach. to really teach it and understand it. And I just looked at it and I said, so many more people will probably do something like this. It takes 10 to 15 minutes and maybe a couple of weeks to learn versus Tai Chi, which takes a little bit longer, a little more attentiveness, you know, so. And the results were so much quicker. I mean, a lot of the results that I see with foundation training, I was getting after people would train with me 5, 10 years, because that wasn't our focus. But here, I mean, I've had people in one session get rid of sciatica, and I have to be careful here because we don't cure or anything like that. We don't replace anybody. You know, all we do is strengthen the muscles and put the weight of the body back in the muscles. That's pretty much all we do.
Yeah, so my question was, this style of training, foundations training, you're kind of bringing it into other aspects of what people are already doing in regards to their training,
So
right?
it's a utility that you can plug in.
Yeah, an accessory.
Yeah, exactly, accessory.
Yeah.
We mentioned when we were, working out earlier, can we call it that right? We're sweating.
We were starting schwitzing, dude.
And you mentioned, you can throw it in, before, during, after, your workouts.
Yeah.
So this is something that, you're gonna encourage like people that are kind of already doing something. You were doing karate, Joe and I are big weightlifters, and, you mentioned triathlons. This is an addition, an accessory to other aspects of training.
Even if you don't train, I mean, whether you do yoga or you just walk, or I mean, you just want to, go out and do a sport, or, depending what, tennis or golf, which is huge down here. Yeah, because after you have that baseline, it becomes yours. And you can actually integrate some of the concepts about posture or how you coordinate the body to do a lift where you're going to be much stronger. All of us have a lot of latent strength in our bodies, and when we don't have the right posture, we're not going to be able to utilize the right muscles to do the job. And as we get, and our bodies want to be strong. Either one of you guys from up north?
I'm from Jersey.
Jersey, yeah.
He's from Connecticut originally.
Okay, so
No,
you
I was
guys.
born and raised here. I have
Oh, you're
family
born?
from Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you probably pushed a car or two out of the snowbank.
A couple times.
Yeah, but you think about how you adjusted yourself until your body felt powerful. Your body seeks that kind of power, and when it feels big, broad, and open, it likes that. And don't get me wrong, I go home into my after a day, I get into my easy chair. It's like kind of melt. Yeah, I collapse in, and it's just like for about 5 minutes, and I feel like I can't breathe anymore. Because if your shoulders are down and your heads are forward, you can't open up these ribs. They're locked in place. You gotta open up and get that deep breath.
Right now, I feel.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll see some of the people that I train somewhere, and all of a sudden they'll go from walking like this, all of a sudden they see me, they like this.
Tightens them up a little bit.
Yeah. And the idea is not to really consciously think about it, because we're trying to re-educate the body. It's not like, because I have people ask me, should I walk like this? Should I breathe like that? No, just breathe normal. You'll change over time as the body feels what's going on. And I said, just do the work. Let the body take care of itself. And that's what I loved about it. It's so simple. We just get into the postures, we activate the right muscles, and we let the body do the work.
Yeah, when we were going earlier, what I kind of preach to my clients that are a little bit older is the opportunity to keep function and, train in a functional manner that provides quality to their life. You mentioned like just getting something out of the dishwasher, a proper hip hinge, right? And this whole, thought process of, remaining functional, that's where the tremendous value of this foundations training is, because essentially when we talk about functionality, we're prolonging any possible assisted living down the road once we get older and weaker, right? And then this whole concept kind of, dials that in and nails that right on the head.
Yeah, it really does. And it also, if you're in pain or you have some issues, we've had great success getting people out of pain. And even if we don't get you out of pain, you're gonna feel, the rest of it's gonna feel really good.
I mean, it's decompression. That's the thing that,
The decompression breathing, yeah.
the decompression breathing and the whole idea of, helping to decompress the spine, like you say, take the pressure off the joints. And
Let me just add a little thing in here,
Yeah.
is that we don't claim to decompress the spine.
Okay.
The reason being is because I'm not a chiropractor.
Right.
And we decompress the upper body, the tissues of the body. You can feel everything elongate and the weight come off the visceral organs.
Yeah.
So we're just decompressing the upper body.
Yeah. Well, and that decompression, it's. I mean, when you don't really know until you've actually started to, feel that decompression, how much you've actually been craving it, like how much your body has really been like,
Doesn't it feel good?
It feels unbelievable.
Yeah.
It feels really good.
And it's also like a very, like, it's meditative. When you're reminding, everyone to breathe, it's like, you really got to be centered for this style of training to where you can feel expanding on where you want to expand and feel what muscle you want engaged. And some of the cues you were giving us, like, it was my first time doing it, so it was a challenge for me because I don't have that type of body awareness because I don't really practice yoga, so to speak, or something like where I'm maintaining a good posture for a certain set of time. So just kind of becoming centered with your body right there, you get that like meditative aspect from it, and I see a lot of value there too.
Huge value.
Oh yeah, well, people ask me why I don't play music in my classes when I teach classes, and I said because I want you to pay attention to yourself. And most of us are totally unaware of where our body is in space. And as you get older, that becomes a little bit more required, so to speak. And especially as we get older, we need to retain our flexibility of our joints and our joints working, and be able to breathe big. We don't want to collapse inwards on ourselves. And this will help do that. And I forgot what else you said right there I wanted to comment on.
I'll just say it's like a meditative.
Yeah, meditative, because you're just listening to the instructor give you cues, you adjust that part of your body, and then you start, because we just keep checking in with the whole body. And I have to give you credit because, Brett, you did a really nice job for no real pre-frame as to what was going on.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
And I kind of really inundated you guys with cues.
Yeah.
If I was doing that in a class or with somebody one-on-one, we'd have gone a lot slower.
Okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't have got into half. Yeah, we wouldn't have done the gorilla lift.
Yeah, that was.
Or the forward
pretty
fold.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a perfect blend of, Jordan, Joe's brother, who has some experience with that. He's
He's got some experience and he's had some back problems as well.
So we got him. So I'm not gonna, he's more advanced.
He does it every day, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he does it every day. He's been doing it, right? So you're
He's got good form.
You're pushing him a little bit more. Then you got Joe, who I'm not sure Joe's background on it, but he's definitely got more involved than I was, right? This is literally, when Joe said we're gonna get you on the show, I went on the website and I kind of browsed through the website and got like the concept of it, but to like get down and dirty and actually do it, that was eye-opening for me.
Yeah, you might be a little sore tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Those deep muscles, right?
Yeah, the deep, frontline abdominal muscles.
So, just being a personal trainer myself, I kind of, have good awareness on where my limiting factor is in regards to flexibility and mobility. And what has been popping up lately is my tighter hips, and I've been doing more, research on it, and it could be because my psoas is tight.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that's kind of like that midsection portion, is crucial to decompress and to loosen up. And I've been foam rolling my gut lately to kind of loosen that up. And so when we're moving earlier, I'm just like feeling my abs like lengthen and loosen up. And I'm kind of just speaking through my thoughts what happened earlier.
Yeah.
And it felt amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it got some effect on you, because the more you do it, the more awareness you'll get from your body about where it is and am I activating the right muscle chains and things like that? Am I really breathing deep, or am I just breathing deeper than I normally do?
Right.
And it's all up into the lungs too.
Yeah, and then and I'll just say in the gym, in the weight room, there's a lot more talk about externally rotating. And when we were just in there, a majority of it, correct me if I'm wrong, felt like we were internally rotating.
Yeah, because most of us are externally rotated, and that causes a lot of problems. If you're too externally rotated, it tends to change your gait, changes out a lot of things.
Yeah, it comes down to it. You need to be able to do both, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, basically, what we do with the foundation training is people ask. I've said before, people ask me, should I walk this way? Should my feet point this way? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let the body decide where it wants to be. Let the body pull you back into where it wants to be, where nature intended for your body to be, and take it from there. So rather than getting all, that's what I loved about it. It was very, very simple.
Right.
I don't have to learn all this other stuff. I was like, I'm too old to learn all that crap.
So let me ask you this. So now, if I wanted to do this again, and I'm kind of pursuing this foundations training, can you give me like a starting point? Like, is there names to these poses, so to speak, or is this just one flow? Like, we were kind of moving, so fast because you wanted to show us so much in so little time before we got recording.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of give me or Joe like one thing to take away on starting this journey of foundations training, can you tell me like maybe one thing to roll with, to focus on, what maybe a pose to master to start up? Any like, I guess my question is, if someone's interested in doing this foundations training, maybe on their own, or they want to get started on their own and then hire you, what would you recommend we do to get started?
But after this, I'll give you my card so you can. No. Eric Goodman has a new video on YouTube. I forget what it's called, but when you go to foundationstraining.com's web YouTube page, you'll see him there kneeling down with a woman in a supine pose.
Okay.
And for those who don't know what that means, it just means belly up.
Okay.
Your eyes are towards the ceiling. That pose, which is supine decompression, that has been a go-to for me for people with sciatica.
That's exactly the type of answer I was looking for, something like that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other videos on there too. I would suggest that if you haven't done it before, stay away from the 12-minute video.
Okay.
That was an advanced video designed for an advanced person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are doing it. I was working with a woman the other day, and she was saying she'd been doing it, but it didn't last. I said, well, no, it's not. This is something you have to keep doing for quite a long. You have to integrate it into your life. How you move and how you stand in line, how you get something on the refrigerator, how you reach for something, rather than leading with the nose or knees or the chin.
I did the 12-minute video for over the course of 3 weeks. I did it for 18 days. It was hard, man. I know that I wasn't doing some of those movements right.
Yeah, and well, that's the other cool thing about this is that, the better you get, the more benefit you'll see and the more you're gonna like it. But it doesn't really matter. First of all, I've never had anybody get injured doing this. And I've seen some people, the one person, we used to have a contest, where can you do a founder? And the instructors would send it in, pictures of them. One guy was doing on top of a 6-foot step ladder. And I said, now that's an injury. But no, I haven't had anybody ever get injured. And I don't know of any of the other instructors throughout the world, because we're in, I think, 23 countries now, and there's over 2,000 instructors. I think it's up that high. And there's no reports of people getting injured from doing this, so that's really cool. And people can do it really poorly, I was going to say badly, but poorly, and still get benefit. If you just watch the 12-minute video, in fact, Eric Goodman has said that, we put those out there, and I don't know how many thousands of people just watch our free stuff and never buy anything from us. He goes, as long as they feel better, that's cool.
And then they're telling their friends about it. Buy something.
Yeah, that's a great philosophy, though.
Oh, yeah.
You were saying it earlier when you were saying, you've had some students and prospective students that have gone off and gotten themselves certified, and effectively fired you, and you're like, that's awesome. The more people that know it, and the more people that can teach it, the better.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm the first one to bring it to Southwest Florida, and I always hold that mantle.
Love that.
But I think, like I was telling you, I said there could be as many foundation training instructors as there are personal trainers and yoga people, and once this gets out, we'll all be too busy. We'll need more.
Yeah.
And as people start to use it and utilize it in their training, they're going to see tremendous benefit. Like Dr. Goodman's worked with a lot of professional athletes. He doesn't make them better athletes, he makes them better performers, so that they can do their skills at a higher level. And that almost to a person, they just write back to them, go, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, see, why I'm very intrigued by it is when I was first getting into my fitness career, the importance of controlling your body before you even think about controlling an external load like a barbell or a dumbbell or a kettlebell, that has to be the most important thing, right? So this is kind of, going over that concept of before you think about moving something externally that's external load, you have to move your body in a way that does it safely and effectively.
Yeah, well, when I started martial arts, that was one of the things that I was looking at. First, I wanted to focus on self-defense because that was the important for me, not the competition end of it. And then, but it was also the movement, learning the movement and how the body can be very, very powerful, moved correctly. And the balance that it improves and the muscles that you gain from the proper movement, I mean, it was just incredible. And I saw this, I go, I wasted all that time.
Well, it's so funny because we talked in a couple episodes ago with Coach Tamburello about the idea that, man, a lot of these resources just didn't exist 15, 20 years ago and beyond. They just didn't exist. And I mean, even, you know, we're here producing a bro podcast, and we've got on, you know, you, Harry, who you're not a weightlifter, you're not a guy that's not anymore. You're a guy that's kind of, I mean, this is hippie stuff 15, 20 years ago. And now this is like the most intrinsically important stuff, you know, when it comes to any kind of physical performance. I mean, even on the foundation training, you got freaking testimonials from like Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the real deal, and it's well, the greatest thing about it is that it is an accessory to absolutely everything.
Now, let me ask you a question here. When I was browsing over the website, I saw a video that said deadlift. Now, is there components of this foundation training that involves weightlifting?
It can, because of the way you structure your body. You learn how to make it powerful, and you also find out where the weak points are. So that if you have good posture when you start to lift weights, or like when you do a deadlift, you engage the muscles before you try to lift, you know, when people try to jerk that bar up. But even beyond that, you know, your posterior chain is designed to hold you up and move you. And most of us don't use it like that. We use with the weights on the balls of the feet, or you wear a shoe that has a 1/2-inch heel on it or more, it throws all that body weight forward. And now you're getting shear pressure in the knees and all kinds of things like that. And so yeah, as you learn the principles, and if you can breathe bigger and you can contract bigger, yeah, you can contract. Like we did that hand thing where we squeezed our hand, right? When you can engage more musculature throughout the body, you're going to get better benefit from whatever you're doing. You know, especially if you're going to try like any kind of a weightlifting type of thing.
Yeah, the more muscles you can recruit on a heavy lift, the better you're going to be. So what Harry was talking about on the fist thing, for those of you that are listening, you know, we started out squeezing our fists, and then he goes, as you squeeze harder and harder, you engage, you know, what starts out just from the forearm to the bicep to the shoulder to some of the chest, and now we're starting to feel the leg and the core get involved. And the more muscles you can recruit, the stronger you're going to be. And yeah, that was a good cue and kind of walkthrough of, you know, how you can really get if you're engaging these multiple muscles as opposed to just a single muscle.
Yeah, because every time you add another muscle chain, you feel the hand tighten a little bit more. You know,
And shake a little more.
Yeah.
If you're me.
no, you were shaking a lot today. That's good.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. Thanks for being that.
No, man, that's good. That means your body's learning.
Yeah.
You know, when I first started this, I was doing the one that we were doing there, woodpecker there, and I couldn't keep my fingertips together. They were shaking so bad, and I'm like, I'm going to be an old jobby. I feel like going down a job, you're going down a dirt road, just pieces falling off of me.
That plank, I noticed Joe was struggling the
Dude,
most.
I'm telling you, like a feather I was shaking.
So I think, Harry, if you could kind of just walk us through that, what was it, the 8-point plank?
8-point plank, yeah.
Because I know, you know, planks are huge in the general fitness population, and I know for a fact a lot of people are doing them incorrectly. And when I kind of coach my clients to do, you know, planks, I tell them to, you know, to kind of hold like a mini crunch where they're really squeezing their abs and they're staying active, like pushing their elbows into the floor, and they're active, right? You know, the butts aren't sticking up in the air, or like the lower back's not overextended. So simply put, that's kind of some cues I use. But you were kind of, you know, going over with us, you know, bring the elbows and knees towards each other. Can you kind of walk us through that 8-point plank?
I can to a point.
Okay.
But again, like I told you before, I'm not allowed to teach online where it can be viewed by other people.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let me just explain why. They want to keep it clean. It's not because they don't want to give the information out, but if you go out there, you look up deadlift, there's probably 10,000 or 10 million videos on it. Some of them are really good, some are really poor, but they're trying to keep this pretty clean. But the 8-point plank, a lot of people look at it and they go, oh, that's just a beginner plank. Back in the day, we used to call it, you know, girls plank. You do that now, though, you get smacked, which is a good thing, you know. But basically, you just get yourself on the floor in a prone position. Have your elbows about 2 inches in front of your shoulders, in line with your shoulders, and then vertebrae by vertebrae, you pick your chest up, you pick your belly up, and then you pick your knees up, your hips up, an inch or so off the floor, and then pull your belly button in, like you're trying to lift something heavy off the floor, and that tends to help people straighten out that back.
So it's verbal cues, man. That's
Yeah.
You're trying to lift up something heavy off the floor with your belly button.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah, just a string attached to your belly button, trying to lift the weight off the floor. And from that point there, you're in the 8-point plank. Now, that in itself, especially if you have your elbows 2 inches in front of the shoulders, if you have the elbows underneath the shoulders, you're supporting it with the shoulder, with the upper arm, you know, and put it in front, all of a sudden it becomes a little bit different exercise.
Now you feel the abs firing.
And then what we do is we crisscross across the body by pulling the elbows and the knees towards each other in a crisscross fashion. And that just intensifies this thing beyond belief. And that's only the very, very basics. And sorry, Eric, if I went overboard there.
No, I mean, yeah, I've never heard it kind of explained like that. But I mean, from me being a personal trainer, I grasp that concept of everything you were saying. But if you're saying that's a simplified version of it, I couldn't imagine an advanced version of explaining the 8-point plank to someone that isn't familiar with cues like that.
Yeah. Well, what I want to kind of address too, that is there's 3 basic things that we do. We engage the inner thigh or the adductors. We engage the low back with a posterior chain, and then we breathe big into the lungs, expanding, elevating the ribs. All right. Everything else we do is layered on top of that.
Can you say that one more time?
What did I say? Oh, adductors. We engage the adductors. The inner thighs going into the hips.
Engage inner thighs.
Engage the inner thighs, and we engage the low back on the posterior chain. We basically focus on the hamstrings, the glutes, and the low back. But most people are going to feel it in the low back first because that's the weak point of the link. And then breathe big into the lungs. And then there's a bunch of things that go with that, but those are the 3 basics. When I first start somebody, I say, pay attention to those things. If you can't remember 3, remember 2.
Yeah.
You don't remember 1, make sure it's breathing.
No, I agree, and that's why I asked you to repeat it again.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, sure.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, those are the building blocks, and
Yeah, because we want to build it from the inside out, and the core is the inside, the body. And we're really big on building the core. And the core, the way Dr. Goodman describes it, is every muscle attached to the hip, above and below. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
A lot of stuff going on there. So obviously you get, just especially down here in Southwest Florida, to your classes, you get a lot of people that are probably either somewhat elderly or they're coming to you with a problem that they've already got.
Mm-hmm.
What I see here, and I'm sure you can see this too, is this is a program that shouldn't just be for the sick. This should be the pre-rehabilitation. This is the kind of stuff that everybody should be doing to avoid injury, correct?
Well, I kind of look at it and say, before anybody touches a weight, they should do foundation training. Before anybody does yoga or martial arts or any of those things, or at least in conjunction with, learn foundation training, because it's going to teach you so much about your body that you never knew that there was that much to learn.
Build an awareness on your body.
Build an awareness, and then you're not only going to be safer, but by doing it, you're going to be less risk for injury and quicker rehab. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I had one woman I worked with a few years back, twice online. She was in Massachusetts, I was down here, and after 2 sessions, she told me she canceled her 6th knee surgery that was 3 weeks away.
Wow.
And that's been 3 years, and she hasn't gone back for it.
That's amazing.
That's incredible.
And it's not.
Well, we get surgeries because we're in pain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's other reasons too, but I mean, pain is a big one. Pain can destroy your life.
No, I agree. And it's not just for people that are older, right? Like this younger generation that's so attached to their tablets and their phones. These younger kids are developing posture issues early on nowadays, right? And this will contribute to that problem. Like something you said earlier was we're developing what's called maybe cell phone neck, right?
Well, they call it text neck.
Text
neck. That's the official term.
Text neck, and what you said, it's like having 40 pound bowling ball attached to your neck,
And that image is insane. I mean,
Isn't that?
Didn't you say to me once that it's it's the amount of degrees that your neck is tilted.
Yeah.
That's how many pounds the weight
Yeah,
is.
something like that. Yeah. But it just gives people a relationship.
Yeah.
Because basically your spine is unprotected, your back is unprotected, and your lower back is not involved in it because we bend from the waist
Right.
rather than hinging from the hips. And if our head is forward, we're just hanging there, just hanging off in space. So I talk with my hands, I'm not even Italian. And
You took it out from Joe's book.
now I forgot where I was.
Well, I mean,
But-
even you look at that sort of like evolutionary chart of like the Neanderthal kind of thing, and
Yeah.
I'm not an evolutionist or anything like that, but that sort of chart, you look at that, and like we're sort of regressing back into that hunched kind of.
It's funny you mention that because I think we have a T-shirt that shows that lineage that comes up, walking tall, and all of a sudden we got this, and then we got them sitting in the chair,
Yep.
here.
That's just what happens.
But I think everybody should start learning foundation training. It should be taught in all the schools, to all the high school kids. I mean, there was a book out called Sitting Kills, Moving Heals by Dr. Joan Vernikos. And she was a NASA scientist that's responsible for the astronauts' health and safety and fitness before, during, and after spaceflight. And she's done some amazing work on sedentary behavior. And she called foundation training the answer to her search. Because when astronauts are coming back from space, they're exhibiting all the signs of old age. Anti-gravity will do that to you. Sitting is an anti-gravity position, so is sleeping. And they walked short steps, they were unstable, it all came back. But just that short time in space, she saw them just degrading. So getting old is a myth, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, your body's designed to move. We weren't designed to sit for 8 hours a day. And you can't sit for 8 hours a day and work out for an hour at the gym at night thinking that you're correcting all that other mistakes, what's going on, and it's like, there's things out now, the ball chairs and standing desks and all that. But even if you stand too long in the wrong posture.
Exactly, I was just going to say the same thing, right?
Yeah,
You're still stationary, you're still staying in one position for
way too long.
Long duration.
And those people are shifting their weight into one leg, or they're just terrible posture even in standing.
Yeah, well, they're in pain.
Right.
Or they're at least they're not comfortable. They're in a comfort zone, And the thing is they suggest that you take a break from whatever you're doing every 15, 20 minutes. Stand up, take a walk, go get some water. Do the things like you're sitting at a desk, put your coffee out of reach, so you have to stand up to get it. Put the printers, so you have to stand up. So you cause all these little times that you have to get up and move. They've also done some research that said if you stand up and stand still and do a foundation pose, not necessarily, they didn't say that part. But
I love that one.
Oh yeah, but if you just stand up and stand still, your body's forced to bring the blood back up to the body, through the body, rather than using the muscles to have it pumped up.
Right. That's really interesting. So if you had to recommend, and what I hope our listeners will do is we'll go and log on to foundationtraining.com and kind of take a look at some of these things. But what would you say, I'm a guy, I work in an office, I'm sitting 9 to 11 hours a day, working. What do you recommend? You say every 15, 20 minutes or so, what do you recommend you actually do in that time?
What was it, 9 to 12 hours?
Right. Like when I take a break to sort of get mobile, from a foundation perspective, what do you recommend?
You're going to find some of the different. There's only 18 exercises in the whole system, so it's not a complex system, and you're going to find ones that you like. And mainly it's going to be the standing ones, because I'm sure you don't want to go lay on the floor at work. If you can, that's great too. But you stand up and do a founder. With the legs about shoulder width, a little bit further apart, and do some breaths. Take 3 to 5 breaths, relax, do it a couple of times, and go on with your day. And you're going to find the ones that you feel better with, because once you open up the body, it just wants to be there. I work with people in wheelchairs or people that can't stand, so they do it seated, and so we can do it seated. I teach them what to do when they travel, how to stay refreshed when they travel. And it's because it's easy. You have your body with you at all times.
Right.
No equipment. You can do it almost anywhere. And so you go to the website, check out the YouTube videos, try them. Find something that works for you, and then you can either you know, go to my page, my Facebook page, and I have an online training program there that we do. Buy his book. He's got 2 books out, learn from the book. He's got an online streaming program out that you can learn from that. But I would highly suggest whatever you do, always, once you get a baseline going, find an instructor, get tweaked, and you'll be amazed at how much just a few minor changes in your posture will just ignite your results.
Well, I mean, I can tell you straight up. I mean, I was doing the 12-minute video for a while, and we sat over there in the artificial grass for 30 minutes, the 4 of us, and I was doing it slightly wrong, and the tweaks that you did, I really felt what I didn't feel, in the past. So that's a huge thing.
Yeah, the videos. I mean, the streaming program and all the stuff they put out is really good, and you can get really far. But one of the reasons they have the streaming video is to support the instructors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because really, if you see an instructor, you're going to get so much more benefit from it. And I'm not even saying you got to come see me. That'd be cool, but you don't have to. I mean, there's other people out there. You know, find, just like any other thing, a personal trainer or a martial arts coach or whatever. You're going to find somebody that you relate to, that you like how they approach things.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great takeaway. And you know, I've seen value in coaches and personal trainers myself, being, you know, doing it professionally for 8 years. I still outsource my programming and my workouts and still learn from someone that's been doing it for 20 years. And then, you know, there's always tremendous value in hiring a coach that's been, you know, doing what you want to do a lot longer than you, to kind of fine tune you. And you know, Michael Jordan had a coach, right? Like elite athletes have coaches.
Tiger Woods has a coach.
Like, so there's always going to be someone that does it, you know, better than you, has been doing it longer than you, that you can reach out and ask questions to, and have them take you through it a little bit more depth and detail. And you know, there'll never be an instance where you can figure you know it all or master it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, now this day and age, there's no way you're going to get to know it all. There's just too many variables. There's too much out there, and there's too many different kinds of people coming to you. You know, in the martial arts, we used to call a thing called black belt eyes. I've been doing this long enough. I know what I know, and that's your first step of not knowing anything.
I agree.
You know, we tell people is have white belt eyes. Come in with this wonderment of excitement about what you're about to learn. I learned more in my journey through martial arts from teaching people who would ask me questions, and I would go, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. That is so cool. You know, and so I got better as I taught because of that.
That's the best way to learn, is to reteach.
Oh yeah. You think you know something, go try to teach it.
Yeah.
We had these things called techniques. It was like 3 moves. And so somebody would learn the 3 moves, and I'd say, okay, you know that one? Oh yeah, I got this one down. I know this one really good. Go teach it to him.
Yeah.
Well, first thing you do is, let's see, you step back with your,
yeah, right.
you know, I won't go through the whole thing, but you get the idea there.
Yeah.
You know, and it changes things.
Yeah,
dramatically.
to really learn and master something, you have to not only reteach it from that concept, but simplify it to where someone way more novice can get to understand it.
Well, they say the sign of a true genius is how you simplify what you put out. You make it complicated, you're not a genius. You might be really smart and have something really cool, but you're not a genius.
Right.
I consider Eric Goodman a genius. This is so simple. It's so easy, sort of, to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to
yourself.
Yeah.
I was fine for me.
That's what you said earlier. You said that's easy or something. I go, for who?
Yeah. It's easy to learn.
Yeah.
There you go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Not easy to physically do necessarily.
Well, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, the thing is that I had you guys putting a little bit more effort into it. I mean, there's days that I'll just get into the posture and just hold the posture without doing any extra. Just the way the body is designed and the posture positions he puts us in. And you can get it, you still feel really good. You still do decompression breathing, because that's just phenomenal stuff. Most of us don't breathe enough.
Oh, for sure.
Breathe enough or deep enough, you know, and
that's a huge flaw.
yeah,
That's a huge flaw.
Well, considering that oxygen, fuels the body, That's a huge flaw.
I mean, not.
Well, food too.
Well, that too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not.
Chicken wings, not carrots. Celery.
Don't bring me back there. That's
Sorry, I just,
Yeah, that's funny.
No, that was good stuff.
Good stuff, man. Well, Harry, thank you so much for coming on today, man.
well, I loved it. It was fun.
Great conversation, really, really great information, and I think a lot of the principles that we've talked about here are just so applicable to anybody in any aspect of fitness, no matter what sport you're doing.
Yeah, I'd even bring it a step further and say health.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Health and fitness.
yeah.
And yeah.
Now, what was that Facebook page you were kind of telling us about? How can we find that?
I'm at Feeling Fit After 50. You can also go to harrygrimm.com.
Okay.
That's my website. And then, of course, you guys have put
Yeah, we'll put all that.
I've got the
we'll
show
link all
notes,
that,
yeah. And yeah, if you have any questions, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'm available to move around and do clinics and private sessions, small groups. You have a need, I'll fill it.
Yeah, no, and like we said earlier, we went through the whole system, the whole process earlier, and it was amazing.
It really was. So we're really excited to have been able to bring this to you guys. So, hey, thank you so much for spending the last hour with us on Bro, You're Not 20 Anymore. You can visit us at www.broyournot20anymore.com. Same handle for YouTube and Instagram. And as always, send us your feedback, questions, and most importantly, share us with your buddies. I'm Joe Pellegrino.
And I'm Grimm.
And this is Bro, You're Not 20 Anymore. Catch you next time.